Hello, everyone. My name is BC Shindekor, and today I am celebrating the World Down Syndrome Day. So I've just been looking at this amazing article in the Down Syndrome magazine and just enjoying as well online the various events going on around the world celebrating World Down Syndrome Day. And I thought it'll be nice to use today as an opportunity to sort of like enlighten my friends, family, everyone, those people who follow us on our Joy and Joe family page, people who are members of our Joy and Joe support group as well. It'll be great to be able to share a lot more about Down syndrome because you find that despite the fact that Down syndrome is the commonest chromosomal condition, lots of adults, lots of people don't actually know about Down syndrome. So let's talk a little bit about Down syndrome today and about the reason why we are celebrating today. So if you're live with me right now, I know today it's sort of impromptu. I didn't actually pre-announce to say, okay, I'm going to be going live today because it's been so busy. A lot of you know how things have been so busy for me with work, politics, the kids, and so many things. But I thought, let's see. Some of you might get the chance to probably get a chance to watch it on the replay. But if you're live right now, leave a comment and tell me what you understand, why you think we are celebrating Down syndrome today, or why do you think we should celebrate World Down syndrome today? So the UN General Assembly decided that with effect from 2012, World Down Syndrome Day should be observed on the 21st of March. And the reason why World Down Syndrome Day is observed on the 21st of March is mainly because people with Down syndrome have 3 chromosomes on chromosome number 21 instead of 2 chromosomes. So people with Down syndrome have 3 chromosomes on the chromosome number 21, and this is the major reason why, this is the major reason why Down syndrome is also called trisomy 21. So I don't want to go into all the sort of like, I mean, these are the sort of things that when Joy was little, in order for me to understand more about her condition, I'll be reading a lot about. As you go on your parenting journey, you find that it is less about Down syndrome and more about the individual. So even though I'm talking about Down syndrome today, in our home, we don't actually talk about Down syndrome as such. Joy, my daughter who has Down syndrome, is Joy. Down syndrome is only I would say a part, it's like a piece of the puzzle. It's like a part of her, but it doesn't define her, if you get what I'm saying. So on a day-to-day basis, we relate with her as Joy, as a person, and not just as, oh, Joy has Down syndrome. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, because you do forget, even over time, that your child has Down syndrome. You know, a child will take after you with some things and look like you, your nose, your mouth. It's only because today is Down Syndrome Awareness Day. That's why we are really talking about this terminologies like trisomy 21, translocation, transduction. Well, so that's the reason why the 21st of March today was chosen by the UN General Assembly as the World Down Syndrome Day. And for those of you who are wondering why because the word down can sound negative, down. It's not because people with Down syndrome are down or they are below or anything like that, nothing negative. It's only because a doctor, there's a doctor, a renowned medical doctor called Dr. John Langdon Down. So Down is actually part of his name. So that's why it's called Down syndrome. He was the doctor who discovered this particular condition. Prior to that, a lot of doctors, medics, individuals have been puzzled about certain characteristics, usually sometimes even physical. And it was this doctor who actually discovered Down syndrome and was named after him. So you will have individuals today who are bearing Down. These are the descendants of these doctors. So it is somebody's name. Down is somebody's name. Okay, so Let me see if we have anybody live with us right now. So yes, if you're watching this on a replay, please leave a comment. Tell me if you know anything about Down syndrome. Do you know somebody who has Down syndrome? Your friend, a family, in school, at work? Let me know. And like I said, my daughter has Down syndrome. Later on, before the end of this broadcast, I'll tell you a little bit about my beautiful daughter, Joy. I'm only sharing this because I know the video is probably going to be shared outside my Facebook profile. So those of you who are not my friends, who have never met Joy before, this is a chance for you to see how beautiful my lovely daughter is. Her name is Joy. And just like I said, I know that a lot of organizations and people, groups are celebrating today, but I want you to be able to meet somebody who has cared for an individual that has Down syndrome for over a decade. Joy is going to be 12 this year, and I want you to know that Down syndrome is certainly not as scary as it sounds, especially from the medical sort of point of view. At the beginning, when you, if you're completely new to Down syndrome, it might sound very scary. You hear all sorts of things, but as time goes on, you actually get used to, Down syndrome in the sense that it is nothing. It is more of, I believe, the beauty of diversity of the world we live in. Well, for 2019, this year, the theme is Leave No One Behind. And when I'm thinking about that particular theme, what comes to my mind is inclusivity. I'm thinking about how do we create a more inclusive world. By the way, when I was thinking about today, I thought it would be nice to have Joy, you know, in the video so that I can sort of like, Joy, I want to tell the world about you, about how special and amazing you are. But Joy is in school, and by the time Joy is back from school, I'm not going to be able to do the broadcast. But hopefully, maybe I might share a video later on, where we can sort of like celebrate Joy and everything. Yeah, so even though it's not a birthday, it's World Down Syndrome Day. We are celebrating individuals who have Down syndrome, their achievements. And that brings me to the theme for today, talking about talking about inclusivity, which I think is my interpretation of the theme, leave no one behind. In your place of work, your communities, in your homes, do you include people with Down syndrome, you know, in everything in terms of inclusivity? I would say even in particular organizations, do you employ individuals who have Down syndrome? No, for me, this team means that no one should be left behind. But what's also important to me as well is that because we're celebrating the achievements of individuals who have Down syndrome, unconsciously, we are leaving behind individuals who have Down syndrome who are a bit more on the complex spectrum. So I've always, in my past broadcasts, I've always talked about spectrum. So even with individuals who have Down syndrome, you have some individuals who are a lot more complex. A lot of you who follow me, who know me, already know my story that yes, Joy, we've never hidden the fact that from birth, we've been told that Joy, is going to have a lot more to contend with. Even though she has Down syndrome, she's not like every other individual who has Down syndrome. And I think her wheelchair basically announces that. And there are some things that she definitely goes through that other individuals with Down syndrome do not go through, like her sleep apnea, the fact that hers is a bit more severe, and overnight she has to wear a breathing mask. And some of all, even Joy has had cancer, like a cancer scare when she was younger. So some individuals with Down syndrome will not go through this. Some individuals with Down syndrome are a lot more advanced. So when I'm thinking about this particular team, for me, leave no one behind means that we include individuals who are a bit more complex. But what we're talking about, the wonderful things that individuals with Down syndrome are doing, some of them can read, some of them are into gymnastics and sports and modeling and all this fun stuff. We have to also include individuals with Down syndrome who are completely nonverbal. We have to include those who are on the complex spectrum, and it's a wide spectrum. Some individuals with Down syndrome, even the more older ones, are even having some sort of like a lot more impairments. I don't want to go into the intricacies, but I want to get the point that even within our Down syndrome communities, we don't really celebrate the individuals that are a lot more complex. So I want us to know that as we're celebrating today, let us not leave behind the individuals that are a bit more complex. The value of our lives really should not be defined by how clever we are or how smart we are. We have to understand that the diversity of life means that the individuals that are not as bright as we are, or as like I've seen tons of videos where children that are my daughter's age are doing some things that my daughter, no matter how you push her, will never be able to do. We are not in denial about that, and even though we continually strive, but I find that we are unconsciously leaving behind such individuals. So I want us to just think about that, and I'll just go on because I don't want to stay too long on this. I'm just going to go on to the concluding part of my discussion. Let's not forget about 1 in 700 babies are born with Down syndrome. That's just to show you that it is the commonest chromosomal disability. And I've always, I've not hidden the fact that my beautiful daughter Joy has Down syndrome. I'm so proud of her. She's in school, so I'm not able to sort of like include her in the video. Hopefully with time, I'll be able to share a bit more. I'm still working on our family biography, where we'll be able to share a bit more details about our experiences, the pain, the struggle, the triumphs. But some of the amazing things that I celebrate about Joy is her zeal for life. You know, when she's in a room, you can feel her smile and her happiness. So I celebrate today, World Down Syndrome Day. I celebrate every individual who has Down syndrome, and I wish everybody a happy World Down Syndrome Day. So rock your odd socks. So please rock your odd socks, which is something we do every year to create more awareness about Down syndrome. And please share this video, especially because a lot of people still don't know about Down syndrome. I am a proud mom to a beautiful 12-year-old girl, soon to be 12-year-old girl, who has Down syndrome. And I want the world to know that we are celebrating today. We're absolutely proud of her. And yes, happy World Down Syndrome Day. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Bye. And please don't forget that we have a sort of support group for parents. Now, it's not just for parents who have children with Down syndrome. Parents who have any child at all with a disability. What we're hoping to do is to get to a stage where we can all support each other one by, parents supporting parents to start businesses from home. I don't want to, obviously, I've talked about that in previous broadcasts, but we want to create a forum where we can support parents who are carers, who are entrepreneurs, and who want to run businesses from home to create that balance between caring for their children and also making a living. So thank you. Bye. Bye.